Hello,
And welcome to our podcast, Wine with
Shelley.
and Shelley.
We are two women passionate about supporting those affected by cancer. Our businesses are dedicated to providing resources and community for people navigating this challenging journey.
Whether you're a cancer survivor, caregiver, or just looking for information, we've got you covered.
On this podcast, we'll be diving into a wide range of topics, from the latest research and treatments to practical tips for coping with the emotional and physical challenges of cancer.
We'll also be sharing inspiring stories, interviewing experts, and exploring the latest trends in cancer care.
Join us as we navigate this journey together.
Let's get started. Welcome back to episode 3 of Wine with Shelley and Shelley.
Thanks for joining us.
This is Michelle Holtz. I am the founder of Breathe Inc. And at Breathe, we help individuals diagnosed with cancer keep food on the table, roof over their head, help them navigate through the healthcare system, and help them emotionally and everything in between, all the non-medical aspects.
Yes, and Sparkling Survivor, my name is Shelley, and I also provide services to help Breathe Incorporated. We collaborate together to make sure that we can wrap somebody in a big warm hug, because we do know that in the medical world, because she's an oncology social worker, I'm an oncology RN, we do get that sometimes there's some missing pieces that we tend to miss. And we try to envelop all the different areas, such as anything insurance companies aren't able to cover at this point. If that's a need that somebody has, our goal is to be able to search that out, find it for those people, and then be able to intuitively incorporate that into a little individualized program to support them.
Hey, Shelley, how are you?
I'm doing well. We have some exciting events coming up that we wanted to tell you about, just because we want to have everybody prepared and looking for it. Sparkling Survivor and Brave Incorporated, our goal was for people to be supplemented financially for services. And so we have a Spark Road Rally coming up in October 5th, and we have a golf outing October 6th. We like to do everything all at one time, so let's just go ahead and, cram in a bunch in a weekend, because why spread it apart? Let's just do some events at the same time, hitting a couple different interests, and we'll hope to have a good result with the people that come and join us.
And then we'll be in a puddle on the floor on Monday morning.
Yeah, well,
But hey, that's
Monday
okay. But yeah, so exciting. Something for the whole family with the road rally. There will be a monster truck, and there will be music and different food and lots of things along the way. There's 5 different stops. The drive is an hour through Kettle Moraine. Right?
Yeah, we even have a pink fire truck in case you want to come check that out.
So more to come on our websites, sparklingsurvivorllc.com and breatheinc.org. We will have information and the ability to sign up for both events.
As well as we do a lot of activity on Facebook, so there is a public event already listed there, so that we'll always have updates as well. So Spark Road Rally has its own website. We're working on the actual routing, so that way it's got the map and the directions for everybody, so that way they know where to go. And if they get lost, they can hopefully find the group again. Otherwise, good luck.
Yeah, so we have some guests today, Shelley.
We do.
This is exciting.
Excited about it. There's some great people that have experienced cancer firsthand. In addition, we do want to do a shout out to their business, but we will do that when they come, when we'll be back.
Welcome back. We have some wonderful guests with us today.
Yes, we have Tina and we have Don over here, and they are actually, well, let's just quick do a shout out to Hubkey Power Center. Do you want to just give a little snippet of what they do, just so we can make sure everybody knows that you exist?
We are a small engine Aaron's Gravely dealership. We just started 4 years ago. We're at a little small shop. It's my son and myself. We have one part-time employee, and eventually, the way it looks, Dion's wife will be coming on to do the paperwork end of it. so that we can try and get caught up on some of the stuff. The summertime's been very busy with all the rain. So
It's a good problem. And where's your shop?
it's on N1290 Pebble Road in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Wonderful. So if anybody's looking for those kind of services, feel free to look them up, or you can contact Sparkling Survivor or Breathe Incorporated, and we can definitely get you connected. So we would just wanted to throw that shout out just to make sure that we are showing that we really love to support local small businesses, no matter what that is. But we do have them here not only for the intro of their business, but their personal adventures with cancer as a couple. So
Can you guess which one?
that's part of the
I like it.
eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Which one is
It'd be the skinny one. I'm just going to say it right now.
So how long ago have we been out since cancer?
Since December of 2012 was my last chemo.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So if you guessed that it was done, the prize. Good job, good job.
Absolutely. So, Don, do you want to tell us a little bit about what type of cancer did you have and give us a little overview of what your journey looked like?
So it started out as testicular cancer, and then it went dormant and went up into my back as a metastatic. The cancer grew between my number 4 and 5 vertebrae, and then grew into my spine and was literally spreading my spine apart and causing it basically hard for me to walk.
Yeah, I would say that it's probably pretty uncomfortable at that point. Is that what
Absolutely.
brought you in? Is that what you had
Yes.
noticed?
So I had never had any other feelings of anything going wrong or anything before that. When it was in my testicles, I never had any clue, no swelling, no nothing. It wasn't until it was in my back and I literally thought that I just pulled a muscle, being that I was a diesel mechanic at the time.
Sure.
That makes sense.
So I went to chiropractor several times, tried to fix it. That kind of made it worse. Went to massage, had that kind of help, but didn't really cure it. And then I finally went to my regular doctor, and she started doing testing. And then can't remember the exact date. I think it was May something. I went in, I believe, on a Friday.
No, we got the news on Friday. She called us Friday
Friday
night and told us the news.
Okay.
And
So, Tina, what was that like for you?
Yeah.
Because obviously you remember that. Yes. I know exactly when that was.
Shout out to Peggy Simpson. She works in Madison, and she's a wonderful, caring doctor. She will listen to your complaints and everything. It was scary. It was very scary getting the news. You know, she called us at home. She talked to both of us. And at first, all I could think about is, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to him? You know, where do we go from here? And she set up an appointment for us right away. She was not messing around with it. So,
And Tina, you had mentioned off camera that was the first thing that you thought of is what's going to happen to me.
right.
And if I can just have you talk a little bit about that, because as uncomfortable as it is to think about now, I think that is most people's first reaction.
Yeah, it was a selfish, reaction at first, but we had just gotten married. We had 5 kids, just bought a house. And I was like,
goodness.
oh my God, what am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? And then that probably set in for about 10 seconds. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't about me. This is about you. We need to take care of you. So,
And when you say that, I think it's automatic. The guess is that knee-jerk reaction comes from when we hear cancer, we automatically assume that's like a death sentence. And so I think sometimes that's the knee-jerk reaction, like, oh my God, they have cancer, we're in trouble, we got to figure this out, and they're going to be gone. And so sometimes that's what we automatically go to, but I don't know if that was your
correct. And Don does so much around the house. I mean, not like cleaning, but he, you know, what like
That's why, guys.
yard work, fixing things. If any of the kids' cars break down,
Yeah.
you know, they call Don. You know, they get into a car accident, they call Don.
Yeah.
You know, because they know mom's emotional. You know, so he took care of her. Like I didn't even know where our life insurance policies were, where, you know, the passwords to any of our stuff. So
That is
Really the backbone. The
Exactly.
backbone of your family.
yes,
And
Yes.
you being the supportive person, you know, that changes the whole entire dynamics. It's like a complete
Correct.
shift.
Yeah.
So that isn't, you use selfish, and I know that that's an easy word that we use, but I don't really think it's selfish. It's just,
I agree.
it's a shocking thing that you experienced. And there's a piece of you that's like, holy cows. That's a fear factor.
if we
Correct.
go into
Yes.
survival mode,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like, how do we survive this now? Because all of a sudden you're going to be taking on things that maybe you don't feel as confident about navigating.
and I was working 2 jobs at the time. And before he got ill, he was working 2 jobs. And then we had 5 kids, so that were all in sports. So it was a lot of juggling. It's like, you take her today on, so I'll go to the football game, you know. So it was a lot of work for all of us.
What were the age ranges of the kids?
Libby was 4.
Oh, so
Libby was 5. Libby was 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Libby was the youngest.
but young.
Yes.
Okay,
and the
oldest was.
Josh was 26. I think Josh was,
Probably about.
25, 26.
Okay.
So he's the backbone, and she's the memory and brain. Going on, folks.
Yes.
We all take our roles. And
We do. Yes.
Could you imagine? Just imagine if you wouldn't have had her by your side, or vice versa, going through, like, having that relationship built, having gone through cancer without your spouse, or you
Right.
having him, you know, you
Yes.
just really had each other to really support each other. However, who's supporting the whole unit? Who's wrapping you guys up in a big old hug? You know, hopefully people have family and friends. That's not always the case.
Right.
You know,
Just so you know, chemo brain does not go away.
I know.
How long do
Yes.
you use that excuse, Saul, is what I want to know.
Forever. I use that excuse too. And for the record, I've never had chemo, but a very wise patient once told me that, well, you're around patients that get chemo all the time. So that's why they've just rubbed off on you.
Our kids
That's
tease.
hilarious.
Our kids tease him all the time. Oh no, Don had the word "see." Here we go again. Don doesn't have to do this.
Yeah. It's interesting because there isn't enough information or resources. I do have connections to a doctor who recently went out on his own because he really believes it is becoming such an issue for people, and it is under addressed, which we can talk about in another episode for sure. I'd love to invite him
chemo
on,
brain.
to talk further into chemo brain, because it is a real thing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yes.
For sure. So we definitely will be inviting him onto a show in the future.
So you got the diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Then what?
Basically, our doctor said, we know you're going to have a lot of questions. And she literally gave us her personal cell phone to, that if we had any questions, I could call her.
Wow.
Yeah. She's a wonderful lady.
amazing.
Yeah. She is incredible.
And I just want to take a moment to thank you for your courage in sharing your story. Because for those people who don't know what it's like, has never experienced cancer, there is PTSD that is very similar. You know, we think about PTSD with our military, and that's real and horrible. And our people who get diagnosed with cancer often experienced something very similar.
Absolutely.
And
And
those-
that will definitely be a topic in future episodes as well, because there's the aftermath, even with survivorship, many areas of conversation that can lead off of that for sure.
And it speaks to the significance of that life event for you.
Right.
And it still will reach your heart even when you start talking about it. And we're thankful that you were willing to come and share this with us and whoever gets a chance to listen, because it's a real thing as well. And thank you for that.
I can say the hardest part about it all is, I was, so to say, the person that my kids relied on. I was the person, and all of a sudden that kind of went away. I couldn't be that person. I knew that, it was me taking care of myself, and the only way I was going to get better is if I focused on that. So
And that's when
it
we
was-
shifted. Then
Yeah.
I did,
Complete shift.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, the majority of stuff. And
I mean, my full-time job basically turned into being taking care of all the doctor bills that came in, keeping track of what got paid, what didn't get paid. Luckily enough, I had took out an Aflac policy for cancer 30 days to the date that I was diagnosed.
That's incredible.
let's tell them you took it out because of me.
Well, good one.
Well, everybody on my mom's side has died of cancer. My dad died of cancer 5 years ago, so he was worried I was going to get cancer.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
I literally asked her, I said, we have this thing going on, should we take it out? And she's kind of like, well, we really don't have the money right now. I don't know if we should. And I just went ahead and did it. And then all of a sudden I was the one using it. So
it saved us.
if it wasn't for that,
Yeah.
but Aflac's a great thing for that. But to get the ball rolling for it that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And basically, anytime I wasn't eating or sleeping, that's what I was doing.
Yeah. And that's, that touch point on many things that we run into with folks is not only are you going through the cancer diagnosis, there isn't simplification to anything, like going through the bills and then the insurance and all these things. It's like, oh my, and then you luckily had some of these supplemental things. There's many people that
Right.
they can't even afford the food on their table. So they're not going to choose, luckily you just happen to do that. But a lot of people are like, well, I got to feed the kids. So then they maybe would have opted out. But luckily you had that. So
That's why we work 2 jobs. That's the reason why we work 2 jobs, that and life insurance and making sure our kids had what they needed. So
And that's a point of mini infomercial for Breathe. That is what Breathe Inc. does for people who are affected by cancer, because too often, just opening up the mail becomes so overwhelming, let alone trying to fill out applications. And insurance companies, even if you do have this wonderful policy, as you were pointing out, there are many steps from the time that you actually need it to when you actually get your first check, right? The payout from it. And that can be daunting.
The biggest problem we had is for the first 3 months that I was going through this, they had no real diagnosis of where it started.
they didn't
So,
have the actual.
Without that, you do not get a paycheck.
you have to have a starting point.
So that was very stressful. I mean, for the first 3 months, I was basically living on morphine just so I could move around. And it wasn't something pretty that I liked to know about, but
Right. Right.
I had to function some way.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what those are there for. It's the difference between whether you're using it because you need it versus, if oftentimes people get concerned about that, and that can be a whole nother topic. And, it's just pain medication and how, how to take it appropriately and don't be scared of it kind of thing. But also,
Right.
there's this fear factor for people. So yeah, but you had to do what you had to do to be able to function. So.
And my doctors were very well at, I basically told them, I'm not one to take pills or medication to help me get through it. I tough it through it. And they were like, we're going to make sure that we give you enough that keeps you comfortable, but yet you're not going to get hooked on it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So now you're in treatment. And what was that like for you?
A very rough road.
Okay.
I went to treatment every day. 1 week, I was in chemo for 8 hours a day. And then the off week, I was in, it was every other day, wasn't it?
I think so. Every other day.
For 8 hours a day. Funny part of it all was I always fell asleep during my treatment.
Sure.
They literally had to move me to the furthest end and put me in my own room because I snored so loud.
The nurse came in and said, could you make him stop? And I just kind of looked at her like, how would you like me to do that? Put a pillow over his mouth?
We don't do that.
I'm like, I said, it's going to happen. But what I started saying is, the first day he did chemo was very sad. You don't know what to expect, especially as a spouse, you have no idea. So we're sitting in this room, and there's people in other little cubicles or whatever you call them. And there was this one lady that was just getting so sick. And I had
It doesn't help the psyche at all.
No.
Now you're already anticipating a problem.
Correct. And I had to leave. I went to the women's bathroom and I just bawled my eyes out because, I didn't have any support there, and you're listening to that and he's snoring away like there's nothing.
Fix this problem over here.
So that the first day was really, really rough, but we had a lot of great family and our kids stepped up that could drive him, so I didn't have to be there every single day and miss work.
I had a couple friends that took me up there.
Yeah. Yes. And that makes a big difference, having that support system. Just going to throw a plug in on Sparkling Survivor side. Do you think it would have been beneficial or helpful had you known? Yes, we do a great job of educating. Like, we sit down and do education sessions about different drugs and what to expect. But we get that in a short period of time. We go home and we're like, what'd they say?
Correct.
That's
yes.
Do you think, in addition to your team, as a complement to what we do in the medical field, do you think that would have been beneficial to have kind of that resource person that comes in with a bright light and says, hey, I can help you. I can help you understand a little bit in your own home where you're a little more comfortable.
Most definitely, yes.
And educating the entire family, whoever wants to come in, let's get them in here for a nice little education, questions and answers, tips and tricks. I just curious as to if that would have felt a little bit warmer of a hug to you guys.
Definitely.
Something like that.
I would say the first probably couple of weeks with getting the chemo and getting the anti-nausea and all the medications lined up so that I wasn't getting sick all the time. And then the first time my hair fell out, that was like a big step because, I had a mullet basically before. Don't have that now.
Oh, and I think there was another funny story that I heard offline.
Heard her offline tip. She keeps pulling those up. Don't tell Michelle anything before a show.
This is really good. This is one of those surprises. Now, not only do you have cancer, but we're going to embarrass the heck out of you.
Right. And we were in our 40s, so go ahead, Don.
Tell us about it.
Well, the doctor pretty much came right out and when both of us were in the room and said, if you guys are going to have any kind of sex, you have to make sure that you're wearing a condom. And my wife kind of looked at him like, we're both fixed. Why do we have to do that? And then he explained the point that you don't want to transfer the chemo into your body. So that's the reason why you do that. And she's like, geez, we've never had to worry about that one before.
Now it's saying you're telling us we have to.
Yeah.
And we're going shopping.
Yes.
Oh, great.
We stood there at Walmart staring at all of these like, which one would you like to try?
Oh, but you know, it's a real thing too, and it is somewhat shocking. And I'm usually the one saying something about that, and people are looking at me cross-eyed. They're like, "What? We're not doing any of that right now." I'm like, well, it's still important. It is important, and that will be a topic that we do address in future episodes as well, because it is something that we don't have time to really delve into about all the different things that change after chemo, during chemo,
Yes.
all those different things that we can definitely be touching point on. But it was the caregiver support that that I really was honing in on when we had touched base, Tina, on that you felt it would have been nice to have a little bit different support system
Yes.
for caregivers.
I mean, I had great friends. Don't get me wrong. I really did. But it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough to have everything on, your shoulders. And some people were very judgy about things that, we were doing and how we were doing them. And
Everybody's got an opinion.
everybody's got an opinion. Yes.
So that's the interesting thing is like we tend to join people where they are and we help them write their own story the way that they want it written, not how somebody else wants it written. That's the difference. Like, there's going to be friends that have opinions. There's going to be people that read the internet. There's going to be people that have had chemo. There's all these things, and that's great and fine and dandy. But if we don't join you where you are, how are without judgment, just embracing where you guys at, what can we do, and how can we support that in a way that's going to feel good for you guys is what Michelle and I plan to do with Breathe Incorporated and Sparkling Survivor together, because it is our professions, and we have been doing oncology work for years together. So having watched different styles of people doing it, we read people well, and allowing us to really hone in on what's going to help you guys in that endeavor for sure.
And at Breathe, we have developed a caregiver learning management system. So it's a program that's put into modules, and you can take your time and go through it online. You can jump around to different topics if you have questions about different things and you just want to spend 5 or 10 minutes on a certain topic, you can do that. So we know as caregivers that you are very busy and you don't always have time to do that. Also, it is designed to be in person in a support group, as well as, like I said, virtually. So anyone who would like more information, if you're a caregiver out there and you're struggling, reach out to Sparkling Survivor or Breathe.
Yep.
Coming back, tell me, is something that, we talk about the negatives and kind of the funny stories about cancer, but was there something positive that you gained from going through this journey?
There's a couple things. You really find out who your friends are.
Definitely.
I had a lot of friends that helped me financially and mentally, as far as doing friends and family, doing fundraisers and things like that. I also, just on the RN part of it, the one time that really sticks in my head is one of the last times I went in for chemo, and my veins, I never had a port. I did it all through IV. And one of the last times I went in, the nurse was having a really hard time finding a vein. And I was just sitting there like, no big deal, try again. And she literally, after the second time, she's like, I can't do this to you. And she had to walk out of the room and started crying. And
The nurse, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And I felt bad because, I'm like, yeah, it kind of hurts, but don't.
It's your job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happens. And, that to know that someone that's actually working on me really cares that much, really, that was a good feeling to know that I'm not just another person coming in and getting an IV put in my arm kind of thing.
Right.
That's important.
Meant a lot.
Yes. And I think that's the thing is like a good majority of social workers and RNs really wear our hearts on our sleeves, and we lead with our hearts. And I think most patients can feel that, especially when they're going through experiences like that. And of course, a nurse sure the heck does not want to poke you more than once.
Right.
They want to get it, but veins get tricky, and boy, oh boy, she probably felt terrible because she wanted to just get it in and not harm you, because we don't mean any ill will by any means, but it does warm your heart to have the staff available. But the aftermath is then you're done with treatments and you move on, and then you're kind of like navigating the aftermath of like, whoa, now our team is not as much there.
Yeah, we didn't have much time to like think about that because our son got married 2 months after you're done with chemo treatments.
Okay.
And off to Florida we were to a destination wedding. So yeah, and he had a little rough time. Like he had to sleep on the patio a couple nights because he was
Just
temperature. Yeah.
Sure.
The neuropathy from chemo, I still have issues with that to this day. Especially when it's hot and humid out and I'm trying to cool my body down, and that doesn't happen very easy. And then I get kind of stuck in these sweet spots where I can feel that I have to sweat, but I don't.
Okay.
And then I literally at times have to get up in the middle of the night because my feet are so hot that I have to go walk on the cool floor just to cool them down.
Wow.
I never had that problem.
Wow.
So there's a lot of after effects. They're not anything like what I went
Your
through.
typical normal is the aftermath, and then you don't have as much of the team surrounding you at that time to try to help figure out what to do with that, what to try. There are some points with that can be talked about, whether it's like acupuncture. There's a lot of people that say that they can get relief from acupuncture, but then there's also medications. So it's kind of joining somebody again where they are. What types of things do you want to try? What have you tried? Even like the cooling socks, stuff like that, where that might be something nice to have in bed, is to have some of those cooling socks, because that way you don't wake up like that, because then you're not sleeping well.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So then it's kind of like this ball of problems. So the problems don't disappear just because you survived
Cancer. Correct.
It's still a piece of you for life. And that's another piece that we have recognized, is that, you do have a great team. We've never discounted doctors and nurses and the valuable social workers and physical therapy and surgeons and you name it, whatever we have in there. But there is that after piece that definitely, people have a lot of things that just because you look good doesn't mean that it still hasn't kind of dramatically changed your body.
So as we end our time together today, just want to know, where are you at with your cancer?
I am totally cancer free. Again, like I said before, my last chemo was December. I believe it was December 20 something. December 12th of 2012.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Positivity really can go a long way. You guys definitely stuck it out together and had good support, which was huge. It's great to see that there are people that come out on the other side of an experience such as cancer.
And I also have been released from my cancer doctor, so I do not have to go back to see him until I have other issues, if I have any other issues.
Let's not go looking for him. And he's free to the wild, people. Free to the wild. They released him. Watch out.
And just remember, If you would like to be a part of Breathe Inc. or Sparkling Survivor LLC, there are many opportunities, whether it is volunteering, could be as simple as sharing, liking us on Facebook, sharing our Facebook post, telling your family and friends about it. If you have someone who's in need of help, please reach out to us. And if you are able and would like to donate, we are funded completely by donations. We're an all volunteer organization. So all the help we appreciate.
Yep, it's going to take an army to fulfill this mission. So we plan to continue moving forward, but it adds fuel to our spark. So if you liked our conversation, we're trying to get a little more fun because the first one was really dry and annoying. We're going to get more exciting. And guess what we're talking about next time? We're talking about sex. Something that is really hard for people to talk about.
What?
So we actually have a New York Times bestselling author joining us and a sex coach. Did you even know that exists?
Oh.
Woo! Get ready, guys.
Now you have my mind going, Shelley, it's probably not a good thing.
Get ready, guys. It's going to be a really saucy conversation. Hope to see you then.
Thank you for joining us today on Wine with Shelley
And Shelley.
We appreciate your support and listening to our amazing guest stories. This podcast is brought to you by
An oncology survivor nurse.
and an oncology social worker.
We both own organizations led by women who are making a real difference in the lives of cancer patients and their families. Breathe Incorporated and Sparkling Survivor LLC.
Remember, there are many ways to get involved and support the fight against cancer. You can donate to our organization, volunteer your time, or simply spread awareness about us.
And if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast to share your cancer journey, a caregiver story, or even your business's supportive services, please reach out.
We'll be back soon with another inspiring episode. In the meantime, be sure to check out our websites and follow us on social media.
And remember, together,
We can breathe.
and become sparkling survivors.